Episode 4. What the hell? Inside of Mark's room, he is frantically packing a bag. He had only just moved in and now he was looking to run as fast and as far as he could. From his brief time with the company, he had earned a few $1,000s. He has a few new shirts and a couple pairs of pants. This would have to be enough to restart his life somewhere. Anywhere else. As he scans the room for things he might have forgotten, he hears his door open.
Marcus, are you in there?
Mark stops packing and looks towards the doorway. He backs up near his bed. He leans to the right, slightly, as if he was trying to see who was there before they actually came in.
Miss H, I'm not doing this anymore. This is way beyond me. I quit. You can have the money back if you want. I just want to get out of here.
Miss H enters his room. She stares at Mark blankly, then yells out.
Boo!
She laughs and then slaps her leg. Still laughing, she says,
Come across to the office, Marcus. I guess it's time to tell you what's really going on around here and why you can keep that money in your pocket.
Still giggling, she walks into the office and sits down, crossing one leg over the other and adjusting her glasses. Mark walks in, trying his best not to look intimidated by what he thinks he now knows. He walks past Miss H, never taking his eyes off of her, while she, on the other hand, never looks up at him. Mark stands at his desk, deciding if he really wants to have this conversation or if he should just run for the door. Miss H points in the direction of Mark's chair, suggesting that he take a seat. Mark realizes that every time they are in this office together, he sits at the command side of the desk, but it has always felt like she was the one in charge. Even now he feels that way.
Okay, so what now? Are you going to tell me I didn't see what I know I saw? Like that old alley guy? Like that magic ring? Like you changing the other day? I told you I've always seen stuff. This is really no different. Well, it's a lot different, but you know what I meant.
Mark stares at Miss H, waiting, no hoping that she will lie to him again, hoping that he is somehow imagining all of this. But he saw a man die, and that was going to be hard to explain and even harder to accept. Miss H sits back. Her girlish smile and light demeanor changes. She has a far more serious look to her now, as if she has come to terms with what she must do next.
This is that part of the job that always makes or breaks our asset collection agent.
She pauses for a moment, turns her head and looks out the window. Then she looks at Mark, turning her eyes more so than moving her head to look at him, switching her legs so that the other one is on top now, still showing off her expensive red bottoms. Raising one eyebrow, she speaks.
Tell me, Marcus, what do you think you saw this morning? With those special eyes of yours, what happened to the Japanese negotiator? And when Remiel showed up with his associates, tell me, Marcus, did you see wings?
From the way she spoke, Mark knows that she is already aware of his answer. He makes the decision to tell her everything he saw. From the way she spoke, Mark knows that she is already aware of his answer. He makes the decision to tell her what he saw.
I guess it doesn't make any sense to lie to you. I feel like you already know, and that is a little unsettling because that also means that I didn't imagine any of it.
Finally, deciding to sit down, Mark nods his head a little in preparation for what he considers to be an unimaginable conversation. He wonders to himself if he is talking to a monster, a demon. He knows what he saw and wonders why she would need to hear it.
Okay.
Slowing his breathing. Feeling more settled in his dilemma, he speaks.
Yesterday, I saw you change, or maybe I saw you unchange. I'm not sure what your normal face looks like. I saw what you look like under all of that human disguise. And just in case you didn't know, it's very scary. But I still stayed, convincing myself that either I didn't truly see what I'm now positive that I saw, or, I don't know, I figured I could figure it out at some other time. Then the dude in the alley, I saw him change also. He got, I don't know how to describe it. There was more of him, but he didn't really get bigger, you know, just more, like he was deeper. Yeah, that's it. He was deeper, A thin, small, frail stream at first, then a deep well, 50 feet, maybe 100 feet deep, deep enough to drown a whale and the negotiators.
Pausing, Mark looks at Miss H to try to determine her demeanor.
Go on, Marcus. Tell me what you saw.
All right. When we got there, the Japanese negotiators looked blurry, like I was looking at them on an old TV from the 60s. One of them kind of gave me a look, and then they all became clearer. I was thinking that she did something to me. Then I was pretty much certain because all of a sudden I got dizzy. It seemed like everyone noticed, and you and I went for a drink and a chance to clear my head. When we came back, I saw it again. The blurriness, except everyone was arguing so much that they really didn't pay any real attention to me. Then I saw the Japanese negotiators change again. They're all gangster suit looking still, but this time their features changed. They were clearly different, demons. That's the only way I can describe what I saw. Then I felt a warmth, like I was in a cold room and summer just walked up behind me. Not a fire, but a comfort. I felt relieved. That is until I saw that dude with the Jamaican accent. He felt scarier than anything there. I was just settling into the fact that I was seeing demons, and this dude walked up and scared the crap out of me. And as best I could tell, he scared the crap out of everyone else too. And his voice, I didn't just hear it, I felt it. I could damn near see the words floating in the air. All of this is crazy around me, but that dude was next level crazy. Then, when that woman spoke, she vibrated. Well, she didn't really speak. She just, I don't know, opened her mouth and sound, I guess, came out. Not really words, like force, like I said, vibrations. And that one guy blew up. Then the others just vanished. And all of you guys got on one knee. I felt like I should too, but I also felt I needed to put some space between me and all of that stuff. Oh, and to your question, yes, I did see wings.
Miss H shifts slightly in her seat and responds.
What else, Marcus? Before you ran, did you see anything else?
Yes, actually, I did. On top of what I saw, I could see something different. That one guy was hit by a car. I mean, we were outside, so I guess a car swerved and hit him. But I don't think that's what really happened, especially since I could see both things at once. And the reactions of everyone says that this wasn't an accident. It was like I could see one thing in color and at the same time, sort of like a movie with two shows playing at once. Another thing was happening in black and white.
Pausing.
So that's everything. What happens now?
Miss H stands and walks to the window, her back turned to Mark, her arms crossed on her chest.
Now, Marcus? Well, now I explain what is happening and clear a few things up for you.
Miss H turns to look at Mark.
There's no turning back now, Marcus. To start off, no. You're not crazy. And no, you're not seeing stuff. Well, yes, you are seeing stuff. Stuff that most never see. And of those who see stuff, almost all of them consider it just something in the corner of their eye. Or imagination. A long day, maybe. Beer and drugs. We hide ourselves in beer often. And some just think it was a nightmare. But you can see stuff, can't you? With those magnificent eyes of yours. Do you know it's not really your eyes as much as your mind? It's the way your brain in particular works. Some of you with higher reasoning and understanding can speak multiple languages. Some can comprehend how a computer is assembled, and others can chart the very stars. You? Well, you, Marcus, have the ability to decipher visual clues and transform them into something more digestible. You can look at a puzzle and see what's really there. You can look at computer language and understand all of those zeros and ones. And when you look at me, or someone like me, your mind automatically tries to tell you what's in front of you, and at the same time try to protect you from going insane from the information it's receiving. Kind of a give and take.
She stares at Mark for a moment to make sure he understands, and more importantly, accepts what she is telling him.
This is one reason we chose you, Marcus. You can see things that even we sometimes miss. So there are items, assets, if you will. They are removed from our possession and they need to be found and returned as quickly as possible.
Mark interrupts her, almost in shock to what he is hearing.
Wait a second. Are you talking about human souls? Human fucking souls? When you say asset, you're actually talking about human souls. Why in the fuck would I help you gather human souls?
Our division is collections, Marcus. I think you're confusing us with sales, deals, and bartering. I worked there for a while, and the quota demand will make you insane.
Jokes?
Yes, Marcus. Jokes. Part of my job is to get you comfortable in this position. Comfortable enough to do the job without distraction. And that means easing you into the job. Now, about that name you keep using. Demon. I'm not a demon, Marcus. I do walk and live among them, but I am not one of them. The demons and my kind have connected agendas, but we are not the same. I am what you would call a fallen angel. I once served the great I Am. You have a few names for the Great One, but I can no longer call out the name. That's just one of many things stripped from me.
Interrupting again, Mark speaks.
Wait, I'm really trying to understand what's happening here. And to be honest with everything that you've told me so far, I think I'm doing a heck of a job. But are you telling me now that not only have I been dealing with actual demons, but you are an angel? And not just an angel, but one cast out of heaven? And God exists? He's or she's real. So that means that the devil is real.
Shaking his head and noticeably dizzy by the recent revelations, Mark tries to stand up but falls back in his seat.
What about Bigfoot? Aliens? Vampires? Ghosts? The freaking boogeyman?
Miss H leans forward onto Mark's desk, startling him.
You're interrupting Marcus. That's rude. Pay attention.
But you have one of the biggest answers to one of the biggest questions we as humans have ever had. Why? Why would you turn on God? If for no other reason not to do that, he's God. He's the end all be all. There's no turning on God. I mean, you guys know better than anyone now.
Miss H slams her hand on Mark's desk. It splinters, shattering into hundreds, possibly thousands of small pieces. Then, almost in slow motion, it reforms. She adjusts her clothes. With one finger, she pushes her glasses back onto her face. With her right hand, she runs her fingers through her hair. After letting out a slight sigh, she speaks again.
Have you ever read Moby Dick, Marcus?
Yes, when I was a kid, but I remember most of the story. The whale did it, right? Joke, sorry. Don't break anything else, okay?
Yes, Marcus. The whale did it. But that story is an account of actual events, changed a little to make a better story. A story that would capture the reader's attention, changed slightly in some places and drastically in others to assure that the reader pays proper attention. Now, you said you read it. If I asked you to do a book report on what you remember, how accurate do you think it would be?
Well,
Hush, Marcus. That was rhetorical. It would not be exact to the letter. It could not be verbatim. Now, my point is this. The Bible was written by humans. Flawed humans. The word of the highest guided their writing, but they are flawed just the same. Then those creatures passed their flawed understanding down to more flawed creatures and so forth. The stories have changed some. The meaning is misunderstood. Events misconstrued.
Mark holds up one hand, like a schoolchild.
What, Marcus?
but God, right? Why would he allow them to misunderstand?
Excited, she stands and yells, one fist clenched, and Mark can see her wings just for an instant.
Exactly, Marcus. Exactly. You ask a question like that, and it would get you kicked right out of heaven. But to answer your question, it's because of the source of the division in heaven. Free will, Marcus. The highest doesn't intervene in the lives of the creatures. So he gave them a law, and the will to disobey it. He gave you the commandments, then the will and blessing to disobey them, and then said he would punish you for doing a thing he said you could do.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Feeling a little more comfortable now, after nearly jumping out of a window when she exploded before, Marc asks another question.
Okay, I'm following you so far. But I do have another question. I don't want you to go all nuclear on me, okay? But why did you turn on God? Why did you get kicked out of heaven?
Miss H smiles, slightly.
Well, now, Marcus, that was almost an acceptable question. The highest commanded that there be creation. And so, we created. He wanted vastness, and we did as commanded. He wanted light, and we obeyed. At that point, we didn't even know what light was. No one asked. We just created. Do you have any idea how much energy there is in a single sun? Or even better, what it takes to create one? Well, we created hundreds of millions of them. We created stars, planets, space, existence, Marcus. We created so much that even with our angelic minds, is hard to conceive. The command was to create, Marcus. So to give you an idea of our loyalty, there are still angels out there right now. Creating. Some are still out there, Marcus, and some are here on Earth, whispering in the ears of man, teaching them how to create. Even though some of you little creatures are creating without any help at all. Creation, Marcus. It was never told to end, so it continues. Then, in a way that you conceive time, a day came and the highest created without us. He could have done anything. Everything. All things we had done over millions of years in just an instant. But his command was for us to create. Then, without a command to us, he created something. It was magnificent, Marcus. It shined. Understand, light existed now, so we knew light. Some of us are so old and powerful that we glow, but this was different, this new thing. It shined. It was magnificent. We all stopped to look at it. We were drawn to it. Some even asked, "What is that?" Others, higher choirs, said it was free will. Now, we had will. There is very little that an angel cannot do, and a part of our angelic might is the will to serve. But this was free will, Marcus. It was the desire to do, but to do for self. We had never even thought of a concept like do for self. He twisted and molded this energy, I guess you would call it, until it could actually defy him. He could speak, and this new thing could choose not to listen, even though it heard. He wrapped it in a shell and called it a soul. And then he commanded, "Give this to the humans, after billions upon billions of centuries." Before the concept of time even existed, there was the angel. Commanded, told, expected to do. Then this thing, small, frail, weak creatures, young and unknowing of his presence, disgraceful in his grace. This thing was to be given the greatest thing I had, or have ever known. Next to the highest one, of course. Understand, Marcus. We still did. We still were commanded, but one of us. The strongest of us. The most loyal. The first of us. Confused about this. Simply wondering why? For the first time since the dawn of forever asked, "Why them, Lord?" And in an instant he was punished, struck down by the highest. And a new command was given, to his brother Michael. Cast him out, he commanded. And Michael did not question, he simply did. As we all had done before, but a few, not all. Not half. 1/3 stood with Lucifer. Some did not think the question demanded such a response. Others were as loyal to Lucifer as they were to highest. At that time, Lucifer was the number 2. And some honestly simply didn't understand the conflict and chose a side for any of a million different reasons. 1/3 Marcus. Even though there were many angels not in heaven, still creating, or on some other mission of divine command, there were hundreds of angels for every grain of sand on every beach and desert in the entirety of the world. Infinity is just a concept to you. You cannot count to infinity, but I can assure you that there is an infinite number of angels. So when one of three stands against the host, that is a number that is inconceivable to a human mind. And that question, as simple as it seems, became a war. And that war lasted for 1 billion years. Even as only a third of heaven, the numbers on both sides were incredible. Then we lost. We were cast out, sent to hell. The highest could have sent us away in an instant, but he allowed the war. And eventually we crawled out. Some wanted to destroy the highest little pet project in revenge. You know that is where that concept came from. Revenge. Anyway, some accepted that we are now fallen, never to return home. And now, over 1 million years, we have fallen back in line. We serve. Even here. In hell we serve. Any and all souls cast into hell are monitored by us. We make sure that they do not leave. Their punishment is our watchful eye. We guard. No demon leaves without certain permissions. No soul leaves without certain permissions. And if so, well, that's where you come in. You may not like where the office building you work at is located, but in the end, you work for the heavens, as do we all. It almost feels like this was part of the grand scheme, to put warriors in hell to watch the damned.
Marc takes a second to absorb everything he has just heard. He realizes that this story, as fantastic as it seems, has to be true. At least, mostly. He did just hear this strange tale from one perspective. In fact, from the loser's perspective. Maybe this was all true. Maybe this was a partial lie. How could he know for sure? The person giving him this information just admitted that they came to him from hell of all places. He's never heard of anyone coming from hell and bringing good tidings and cheer. And even if it was all true and she was someone to be trusted, how could he verify that he was in fact working on the side of the angels, as it were? Is this something that he wanted to be involved in? And if he wanted to get out of this, is that even a possibility? He was going to need more than just her word. But how do you tell a demon, a fallen angel, that you don't believe them? Who could he turn to that could validate this story and also offer some sort of protection to him for daring to question her? Then he hears a voice, or more to the point, he feels a voice.
You're wondering if you can trust her. Am I right, child?
Marc recognizes that voice. He had only heard it briefly, but it is that kind of voice that will haunt him forever. He turns to see that the man from this morning is standing behind him. He understands that this is an angel, the angel called Remiel.
She spends a good yarn. She tells a good story. She did skip a lot of the fire and brimstone, though, and I know you humans like that stuff. But more importantly, she skipped the why, as in why we need you, and why this particular job is so important. Let me give you more detail as to what is actually happening here, child.
The end of episode 4. What the hell?